Welcome to Module 2 on brand building, and this is course 2 focusing on social media with a particular discussion point on this video training on how to develop and grow your network. This is very, very important because the whole thing about social media is that you want to communicate in order to connect. The more people you connect with, the more your brand is able to grow. When your brand grows, you have an opportunity for you to start monetizing your brand. The more people you have communicated and connected with, it means the more people have an opportunity to purchase something from you, to request for your services, or to access the various solutions that you are providing, whether it be through an individual or through a company. And so as an individual, it's very, very important that if you decide that you are building a brand on social media and you want to become, for example, an influencer, you want to utilize social media in a manner that will be effective and that can help you connect with your audiences in the way or the manner that will result in them purchasing or spending their hard-earned money in getting that which you are providing, because they feel and are convinced that that which you are doing is of importance and valuable to them, and that they actually need and cannot go without. Whereas if you are a company and you want to utilize social media, don't have a disconnection between who you are as an individual on social media versus what your business or company is doing. For example, a lot of optometrists, the mistake that they make is that they've got company social media platforms, but they are random and they've got no specific objective when it comes to their activity as individuals on social media. So people connect with them first on social media as individuals, but they disconnect with them as consumers when it comes to the companies that they are running or that have social media platforms on social media. And so it's very, very important that you understand that the whole thing about social media is that you're creating a community, or you are being part of a community. And so your business needs to see itself as being part of the community that it serves. You as an individual should be seen as the reference point or leader of what you provide as a company within that community. So there should be a link between your social media and your company. What I'm saying is that I'm not saying that what you're doing on your company should be what you do as an individual. All I'm trying to say is that your story needs to tie back into your brand story, which is very, very important. And so in growing your network, whether it be an individual or as a company, there's a whole list of different avenues or people or companies that you need to be taking into consideration. Firstly, academic institutions. As an individual who wants to connect or grow your network via social media, connect with academic institutions, whether it be people at the top of the academic institutions who are decision makers in terms of if you are in optometry, for example, right? And you want to connect with academic institutions, connect with optometry departments. If there's 5 optometric or 4 optometry departments and 1 dispensing department, connect with these individuals. Why? Students can get to connect with you. Your brand connects, students have a broader and a bigger reach. So you connecting with students or academic institutions, it forms part of your network. And you need to make sure that there's something about your business, something about your value proposition as an individual that they can identify with. You want to get to a point whereby, this is actually what happened to us. When we were at academic institutions studying for optometry, the lecturers, when they give references to what was happening in the industry or give us examples of practices that were doing exceptionally well or that provided great primary care optometry, they would mention various optometrists within the industry that we never knew nothing about. So the time we were almost done qualifying, or when we were qualifying, we already came into the industry knowing that so-and-so specializes in low vision, so-and-so specializes in pediatrics, so-and-so specializes in contact lenses, and so forth. And so those people were highly spoken of by the lecturers that were teaching the students at the time. So that's what I mean about being able to connect. So what does that do to us who are qualifying? It means anytime we want to develop our pediatric skills, our low vision skills, our contact lens skills, our therapy skills, whatever skills that we wanted to upskill ourselves on, guess who was the reference point? It was those business owners or optometrists that lecturers always used to make mention of. And what would happen is when we would attend conferences as newly qualified optometrists, we would see these lecturers and speakers that they were talking about on these eye care conferences and events doing that which lecturers told us about. So as an individual, understand that you need to be connecting with academic institutions so that you are top of mind of discussions and examples that those lecturers are using in their classrooms, and students are able to connect with that. Now, as an individual, you want to make sure that you are growing your brand. So you might not be an optometrist, but you might be an employee working in an optometric environment, and your interests might be something that has got nothing to do with optometry. Same thing applies with you. Connect with academic institutions, because the reach that you will be able to get and access through academic institutions far outweighs that which is you would get anywhere else. And so a lot of departments, a lot of academic institutions also have social media pages. So connect with those social media pages and look at the activity that they do, what students connect with, what is relevant for academic institutions, and connect with that and be able to position yourself as a thought leader within that space or that type of community. Next, clinical. It ties back to the first one. If you're an optometrist listening into this, very, very important that you understand that if you provide various specialized services within eye care, or you utilizing various equipment that a lot of optometrists don't use, whatever it is that you do that distinguishes you as a clinically competent optometrist or eye care provider, you then need to put that on social media. People need to have a visual representation of what you do on social media. So one of the easiest things that you can do, if you love contact lenses, educate consumers on social media with contact lens related videos, instructions and insertions, explaining complications of contact lenses, discussing pros and cons of contact lenses, discussing why people should have this particular contact lenses, why they need glasses and contact lenses, profiling various different types of contact lenses. That's what you can actually use or utilize your social media platform for, as an educational platform for consumers that might need your services. Whereas as an individual, you can actually do that separate from your brand. When they ask you more questions, you are sending them back to your company page or business or practice where they can actually get that services. And that's how you can actually monetize how you are on social media. The whole thing about social media is that you're connecting. Once you connect, people are going to go back to your practice and get the services that you are making mention or referencing. And that's how you're monetizing the activity that you are doing on social media. Next, business leaders. And so connect, build your network, connect with people that are at the level at which you aspire to be. That's what we did as a company. We looked at, firstly, there was no reference point for us to follow in terms of people that were doing the work that we wanted to do. So there wasn't a business management or service consultancy company in eye care that was helping optometrists get to the highest level of excellence, revenue growth, and transformation. That didn't exist. So I had no reference point, but the reference point that I had was business leaders that were already operating at the top of their game. That someone would be a specialist contact lens practitioner, or be known as a contact lens practitioner globally, but beyond that, they would have produced multiple books, authored a lot of articles and so forth, have had running a well-established optometric practice. Another business leader would be doing something else. And so I ensured that part of my network would be to connect with people that are operating on a very high level within their area of expertise. That resulted in us then connecting with their circle of influence as well. And the more we connected with them, the more opportunity it resulted in us connecting with their circle of influence. The minute we connected with their circle of influence started taking notice of what we were doing in South Africa and asked, would this be applicable in Britain? Will this be applicable in America? Will this be applicable in Brazil, for example, in Cameroon? And so that created an opportunity for us to go beyond the borders of South Africa, beyond the borders of Africa, as a result of our network included business leaders. So ask yourself, who is your network from a business leadership point of view? You could be an optometrist, and your business network could be doctors, could be pharmacists, could be dentists, could be lawyers. Are you part of a community of business leaders? Where if you're part of a community of business leaders, you create opportunity for yourself to network with people that have influence in their own communities. And as a result of the influence that they have on their own communities or in their own communities, it can, when they start thinking of eye care related services, you come to mind. If you're an individual and you're like, but I want to build my brand separate from eye care, then you go about the same thing. Which community of business leaders are you part of that you are able to network with? So it's very, very important that, and when you're part of that network, what value do you add or bring to that community? Because the value that you bring to a particular community of business leaders that you are part of, it comes back to you. And even if it's not business leaders, professionals, industry professionals, you have to be part of a network of professionals. And on social media, there are various opportunities that you can be part of. So for example, if I go back to the one with the clinical, it means when people search for clinical related content, you are able to establish yourself as the expert in that particular topic of discussion or area of optometry. As a business community, it means on social media, you should not be limiting your social media activity on just what you do, but ask yourself, are you part of this society? Are you part of that group? Are you part of that group? And when you are involved in those different groups, what value do you add in that particular group? For example, if you look at optometry on Facebook, for example, there's multiple Facebook groups that are optometry related. But within those groups, there could be 4,000 people being part of a community. But there are certain leaders or individuals that are seen as influencers within that social media group or Facebook community, correct? And as a result, whatever they say, people hold it in high regard. Guess what's the easiest thing that you can do as an eye care professional right now when you're part of those groups is get involved in discussions regularly with these industry leaders who are seen as experts within those groups. Engage them, ask questions. Then after a while of you asking questions, engaging them on what they are doing, next time that you post something on the group pertaining to what you are experiencing or dealing with, guess who's going to be the one commenting? It will be the very same industry leaders that you have always been engaging on. And all of a sudden, the rest of the 3,940 people that are always just consumers on the group, instead of being part of the 60 who drive discussion and debate, all of a sudden, they then also start seeing you as a thought leader in that regard. So it goes beyond you just being a consumer on those platforms. When you are part of a community, you could be a part of a business community outside of optometry on social media. Be active, participate in discussion, get involved in debates, so that you are seen as a thought leader, as a key opinion leader within social media groups, so that when people start thinking of anything pertaining to what you do, you are the first person that comes to mind. And that is part of building a brand. Remember, this is what this module is about. It's brand building. And how do you utilize social media to grow your network? And when your network grows, your influence grows. When your influence grows, your consumer reach grows. And that goes back to adding more value and increasing your brand. Next, service providers. Connect with service providers. Understand the role that different service providers play and the role that you play in the relationship between you and the service provider. And so have a good relationship with the different service providers. It's very, very important that you establish a strong network of service providers that add value to the business and that you add value to their business as well. Your peers, if, for example, with us, my peers run their own optometric practices. I do training. So I help them with their businesses in terms of growing their optometric practices. That's what I do. They help me grow my business because I get to charge and invoice for the services that I provide. So they grow as a result of the information and the resources and the materials that they get from what I do. But the thing about it is that my business grows as a result of they are my clients. And so with your peers, always ask yourself that with your lawyers, friends or colleagues, your psychologists, outside of optometry, who are your peers and how are you connected with them? What value do you add to them on a professional point of view that they see that, wait a minute, this person adds so much value in my business, in my career, I need to do the same. And them doing the same is them referring patients back to you that are now providing you with people or access to people that you can be able to provide a service for. Next, suppliers. I used to work for a supplier. One thing that I can tell you is that suppliers love people that they've got a great working relationship with. So if you have a strong working relationship with a supplier, harness it, work on it regularly, establish strong supplier relationships, because in times of trouble, in times of economic challenges, your supplier, in times of emergency, the supplier can go out of their way to ensure that you get that which you need, simply because of that relationship that they have with you. Industry leaders ties back in with the business leaders. So the people that are experts within the industry, connect with them on a personal and a professional level. Connect, because when they connect, they are in a position to then send referrals back to you and talk about you, mention you on their platforms, which can also aid in social media. And here's the thing about industry leaders. Sometimes industry leaders are not as big on social media as you are perhaps on social media. So one of the things that adds value to industry leaders is when they have engagement or are engaged on whatever they talk about on social media. So for me personally, I look at various global leaders, even local leaders, and I'm always engaging them on what they post about personally and what they post about professionally. I ask them questions. I share what they do. And it comes back in them being part of my network, being part of my community. And it becomes a reference point that I have as a result of the relationship that has been established through the network. And so engage with industry leaders on social media. It's very, very important within your industry and outside of your industry. A typical example, you're on LinkedIn, your community is only optometrists, you're not going to find any value in being on LinkedIn. But if you're on LinkedIn and your community is various different types of professionals outside of optometry. Once you constantly engaging on various discussions, topics, posting on what they are talking about, when people see that what you are saying is valuable, there's thought behind it, adds its depth, or there's depth in what you are talking about. Guess what happens? They go into your profile as that person could be a lawyer, that person could be an engineer. They go under your profile because they liked what you said, so they check who you are on LinkedIn. Guess what they're going to find when they get to LinkedIn? They're going to see that, wait a minute, this person is an optometrist. You know, I've been needing eye care related services. I've been struggling with my eyes. Bam, connection. That results from social media. So think of social media in that context. All these different people that I'm talking about. Suppliers. I'm talking about the connection that you're having with suppliers on social media. I'm talking about the connection that you're having with your peers on social media. I'm talking about service providers on social media, because the more activity and engagement and interaction that takes place on social media between yourself and the respective individual, the more growth opportunities can result as a result of it for your own individual brand. And so international partners, organizations and associations connect on social media. When you engage on social media platforms, whether it be whatever type of social media platform that exists, it results in their network also having an opportunity to see who you are and engaging with you, because the whole key about brand building is that you are positioning yourself as a thought leader or a key opinion leader in whatever that is being spoken about or in your area of expertise. The more people get to see you as a thought leader, the more referrals you are able to then get. The more people are going to inquire about the services and the solutions that you are rendering. And that adds not only to the growth of your business, but the growth of your individual brand. And so I hope you have enjoyed this training video, because building a network around yourself is very, very important. Being part of a community on social media or various communities. I've got various different groups that I'm part of as an individual and as a company. And the more people I get to connect with, I've seen on groups people referring people to Vision Straight or to me, simply because of, in a particular area, I'm seen as a thought leader or an expert leader in that particular subject matter. And so do yourself a favor and be part of a community on different social media platforms. Grow your network on social media platforms, and you'll see how much value it adds to your own personal brand and to your business brand. And of course, you have to connect with us on social media. Very, very important. Vision Straight on all digital media platforms.